Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Symfony Day 4 in DTCTP 23. We have a lot to go today. So, Doctrine relations and data modeling in Symfony. We will study one-to-one relationships, and the example given is citizen and passport tables, which are one-to-one relationship. Then one-to-many relationship, and the example will be author and books. Many-to-many relationships, candidates and jobs. And we also, Doctrine basically does not create extra fields in the junction table. So we also will have an example of creating an extra job application entity so that we can have extra fields in the junction table. That also we will cover. Then we also will cover self-referencing entities, for example, employees and managers. And also we'll study Doctrine query language and QueryBuilder. And you encounter something like n+1 queries problem, which we will solve with joins in DQL. Also, the part of this lecture is Pagination in Symfony using PagerFanta, third-party package, and it has very good support for Doctrine queries, so we will use that. And also Slugs and timestampable for pretty URLs, or you can say Slugs for pretty URL and timestamps for created and updated dates in automatic created and updated dates in Symfony entities. So there is a lot to cover. Let's dive in. So let's start. One thing I need to mention, this is a tiny CSS library, classless CSS, you can say. I just have included it in our base.html.twig, and now the forms will look like this, because this is not going to be a front end course. We have implemented Tailwind CSS, but it will be time consuming doing all of this ourselves. So let us just use, you can use any free open source classless CSS library. So I have added this one, tiny CSS, and thanks to the author Hassan6133. so where I have added it in the base.html.twig. I just copied the link and pasted it here, and that's it. So now if you refresh the form, which we already have created, the forms will look something like this. Okay, so I will start with some diagrams I have already added to a folder, and these will be different types of relationships. So the way I have thought out about conducting this class, I'll basically create individual. So for example, this is one-to-one relationship example. So what is one-to-one relationship? Something like a user and a profile. So a user has one profile and a profile has one user against it, so we can call it one-to-one relationship. Similarly, for example, this one-to-one citizen and passport. So for example, this is the citizen table and this is passport table. Both are one-to-one. So we will create a citizen table, and then we will create also a passport table. Okay, and then the linkage or the relationship between two will be determined by a foreign key in which table? In passport. How to determine the existence of foreign key in a table like these two? Because they are one-to-one, how will you determine which side of the relationship should have foreign key? This is a question for you. This is a one-to-one relationship. One citizen will have one passport, right? So where should the foreign key exist in this relationship? On the citizen table or on the passport table? Why?
Because each citizen can have multiple passport also.
No, this is one-to-one.
No, so there is no foreign key, because it is same one-to-one.
Each one passport one.
No, you must have foreign key to know how this table belongs to another one or relates to another one. But my question is, where should be the column for foreign key? In the citizen table or in the passport table?
Passport
In the- oh.
In the passport table.
Citizen ID is used in passport table.
Yeah. So why? Because it is one to one. Why not in the citizen table? There is. Let me answer it myself to save some time. There is generally a rule of the two one-to-one relationship tables. There are only two tables, for example. So the entity which can exist in alone should be the one. The entity which exists alone should not have the foreign key. Okay. So, example: a passport cannot be. It cannot exist without a citizen. There has to be a citizen. So which one will you add first?
citizen.
A citizen. So if citizen can exist individually or can exist alone, it means the foreign key should be on the other side.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
That's the rule. Okay.
Yes.
So once, if you are confused, for example, in any database relationship system, and you need to know where the foreign key should be in one-to-one relationship, you have to solve this math inside your brain. Which entity should exist alone? So the one which cannot exist alone, like passport. Okay.
Yes.
It is just meaningless if there is a passport table but it doesn't belong to any citizen.
Exactly.
So there you have to use the, and I have this diagram for you already. This is the citizen table. So first name, last name, date of birth, address, and this is the passport table. Both are one to one, but one citizen belongs to one passport and one passport belongs to one citizen. But the foreign key is citizen ID,
Yes.
which is inside the
Passport.
passport table, right? So now we will do it in Doctrine or in Symfony, we can say, because Symfony uses Doctrine. So how to do this in Symfony or Doctrine? My way of doing it is, I first create tables while teaching them. I will create a simple table or entity in Doctrine, citizen. Similarly, I will create a table passport. Then I will create the foreign key so that you can understand what is happening. Okay? And we will also commit the code after both the entities have been created, so that when the relationship is added, we will know which fields or which part of the code has been added to both the entity classes. Okay? So let's start. What's the command to make entity? It's ddev php bin /console make entity. Okay. So we will create which entity should be created first? The citizen. Citizen. Okay. So the entity has been created. We will go to the diagram again. So we will make it short. I'm not going to add date of birth and address, these fields. Just the first, just the name, in fact.
Okay.
So the citizen and name. You can add all the fields yourself. But for now, we will just add citizen in the citizen table, just the name, and ID is already created for you automatically. So the property name should be name and string, and this, that's it. Should it be nullable? No, the name should not be null. Okay, and that's it. So we have created the citizen entity. Similarly, we now should create the passport entity. Okay, initially I am going to just create the passport entity, nothing else. So the same command again, and this time I will call it passport, and a passport has a number, you might have heard. Okay, and again if I go to the table, it has passport number, issue date, expiry date, but I'm not going to create those. You already know how to create the date field. Just the same time, we will just create the passport number. So the entity name is passport, and the property name is, I will call it number. Just number is fine. Okay, that's it. It should be string because there can be digits in it, and should not be null as well, and that's it. So both the entities have been created. Now if I go to the next step is to create a migration. So ddef php bin / console make migration. So it will create these two migrations, and the next thing is to run the migrations, right? So this should be Doctrine column release migrations migrate, right? So everything is fine. It will create two tables, and if I go to php myadmin and click on the db table. So we have the citizen table. If I go to the structure, so it has two columns, id and name, right? Similarly, we have passport table. These are just two tables right now. No relationship exists between the two. So id and number, right? So just to make things clear, I will just add this to commit. I will commit it. Created citizen and passport entities, right? That's it. Okay. The any further changes if I make, they will be appearing here in the git, so that we know what's the difference between the files created. Okay. So if we go to the entity files, inside the entity folder, this is the citizen. So it has the same normal stuff we did manually, and now so id is orm id generator value column. It has the name property, get id, get name, set name. That's it. And similarly in the passport, we have the same stuff and the number property. That's it. So nothing strange or unique. We already have done this. So the next step is we need to create the relationship, and that relationship should be one-to-one, and basically we need to create a foreign key in the passport entity. Okay, and this is the foreign key, and the foreign key should be citizen id, which refers the citizen table. Okay, and as I said, why we are creating it here, because citizen should exist alone, but passport cannot exist alone. So the thing which cannot exist alone in a one-to-one relationship, you should create the foreign key there. Okay, the next step is we will again issue the make entity command, and this time we will choose which part of the passport. Good, passport. So here we need to create a field, right? New property name. So the property name, it actually is, these are objects, it should be the other side of the relation. The name should be citizen, the property name should be citizen, right? And the field type should be relationship. The field type should be relationship. And which class should it belong to? Citizen. This is citizen, right? And now it prompts you for which type of relationship. So it is one to one, the last one. Each passport relates to one citizen, and each citizen also relates to one passport. So this is the one we should choose. 1 to 1 to 1, right? Okay, is the passport or citizen property allowed to be null? What does this mean?
ID should be passed.
It should be, yes, there should be yes.
Not now.
Okay. The next is
No.
it should be allowed to be null. No, yes. We want to add a new property to citizen so that you can access, update passport. So this is for the cross you can no it also and you can yes it also. If you need to change passport from the citizen object, so you can choose yes, otherwise no. Okay, so we can do both. For now let me just use yes. You can also use no, there is no problem in it. The relationship still will be created. Okay,
Okay, sir.
new field inside the citizen passport, so we should call it by default it gives you suggestion for passport, so it should be passport.
Yes, sir.
No, we don't want to add any other property, and that's it. Okay,
Yes.
so if I git status now, you can see both the files, the entity files have been changed. And how to know which part of the code has been changed? We will copy this. For example, I want to know which elements have been added or removed from the previous commit. So git diff and the name of the file. Git diff, name of the file. So if you see plus and the green color, it means this has been added to the file. Okay, this is the plus. It means these elements have been added. So what has been added? This public get passport method and set passport method
Yes, sir.
in the citizen table.
Yes.
Okay, so if I go to the citizen table entity, sorry, so this is the get passport which has been added and the set passport. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, and what is inside this method? Very simple. The get passport is just it returns the passport property, and set passport means if you pass a passport object to this, so what it will do, it will for example, you pass any passport object to it. Okay, PHP object,
Yes, sir.
so it will get citizens of it, the get citizen method which also has been added now. If it is not equal to this, it means if the passport doesn't have this citizen already set, so set that citizen.
Yes, sir.
That's it, and returns it. And also it makes the passport visible on this property also, this property. So I could have done this manually, but to save time we generated the make entity command, use the make entity command to do it for us. And similarly, if I use git diff for the other one, this one passport, so it has done the same almost, but it will have the one-to-one relationship stated. So git diff this, so you can see in the citizen column it has used the one-to-one
Yes, sir.
inverse by passport. This is the reverse side of the relationship, and this is also something we will study: cascade, persist, remove. But mostly everything is almost the same then. Okay, get citizen, return this, does this, and set citizen, it has the citizen to
Yes, sir.
this property. And if I go to the form, the class passport dot this, so that's the citizen field it has added for the one-to-one relationship. So the relationship is one-to-one, and again, how to know whether I should write inversed by or mapped by.
Yes, sir.
In citizen it should be mapped by somewhere. This is one-to-one mapped by citizen.
Yes, sir.
So one side is mapped by, the other side is inverse by. So how to know it? Again, that rule: if the foreign key exists in an entity, okay, the place where the foreign key exists, it should be inverse by.
Yes, sir.
And it is in Doctrine it is called owning side. What? And the other one is inverse side. So owning side is the one which has foreign key. So here, what should be the owning side? The passport.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because passport should have the foreign key, so it will have the property inverse by. By the way, this is also just for accessing objects. Even if you don't use inverse by passport, the relationship will still be created.
Yes.
That table in column in the table will also still be created. But for your understanding, you have to use inverse by a property on the citizen table. So it should be used in the passport. And cascade, persist, remove, I will explain them in a while, especially the remove one. So what this means is, for example, this property is going to be set by the set citizen while you are creating entity. Okay, so you don't need to, if you have set this persist, it means you don't physically need to call the persist method on it. The other side will automatically do it for you.
Yes, sir.
And the remove is if, for example, you delete a citizen. So if you remove a citizen, do you think the passport table should have the value still if the citizen is deleted?
No, it
Just the
will
citizen. It should delete the passport also.
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, the remove is, if you have used the cascade remove, so if you delete the citizen, passport will automatically be deleted.
Yes.
Okay, and if you don't use the remove, then if you maybe if there will be problems. There is still it won't allow you, but because foreign key already has been used.
Yes, sir.
But these two are just for PHP basically. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So is this all right? You can play with this code yourself also. I could have typed these manually, but just to save time, we have run that command. Okay, now the next step is to make the migration again. Make migration, and then migrate. So what change it will have brought in the tables?
Both tables have column.
Huh?
Both tables will have column.
Yes, sir. Foreign key column.
Both or just one?
Both.
Both tables.
Anybody else?
Both.
Okay, so that's the point, and good that I asked it. The relationship is only the owning side. Only the owning side where the foreign key should be. Only there the field will the foreign key will have been created. Not on the other side. This other side of the relationship is only for PHP classes. The citizen and passport, only the passport's side will affect the database changes. Remember, not both sides. Okay. So if I go to the diagram again, where is diagram? This one. So this FK foreign key citizen ID would have now been created only on the passport. The other side of the relationship which the code adds to the citizen, it is only for PHP purposes. Database will only deal with the owning side of the. Okay, so if I go to the table, if I go to citizen table, and there is no change. Let me zoom it out so that. Okay, so if I go to structure, it's ID and name. Okay, and by the way, there is a relationship view. Okay, so there is no relationship. But now if I go to the passport table and go to the structure, so it has now a new citizen ID column added, which is the foreign key. And if I go to the relationship view, so you can see this is foreign key. Okay. Now even in here, if I add some stuff and then I delete the foreign key which has been referred to in the passport table, it won't let me delete it because of the foreign key constraint. Okay, this is normal database stuff. So is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will get status. So we have these changes. Now we can create forms uh, for these tables. So how to create form? Rather, we should create CRUD for it.
Yes. correct.
Okay. So
Git commit and save.
okay, we'll git commit. Sorry, git add. Add a relation between citizen and passport. Okay, now I need to create CRUD. So you will let me know which entity should we add first.
Citizen.
Citizen, because citizen can exist alone,
Yes.
but passport cannot
exist
exist alone, should not exist alone. Okay, so let me create CRUD for citizen first. We already have studied it, the CRUD part, so you can do it manually also, but it will take now 2 hours again if I do it again. That's why let us do it with the CRUD generate command. tdef php bin/console make CRUD, and the CRUD for which entity? Citizen. Choose the name for the controller. Citizen controller is fine. Do you want to generate? No. And that's it. Okay, so if I go to citizen/new now, it will provide me a form for the so citizen/new. That's it. Okay, this extra field is not necessary. It has created it because of the property we have created. Okay, so let me delete it. The second, how will I delete this passport drop down? Go to the form it has created for us. This is citizen type form, and it has this add passport. I will remove this. This is not needed. Okay, if I refresh the page now, so just the citizen name is there, and you can have all the details of the citizen here. For now, I will just add my own name. So even this table is styled now, so better use some third party tiny CSS like styles, so that for now we have some improved design. Okay, create new, and it will be Afaq, and similarly I will create another one, Umar, and so on. Right, so these are the 3 citizens for now.
Yes.
What's the next CRUD we need to create?
For
Passport. And just visualize the form for now. How should be the form for passport, Bilal? For example, this is for citizen. Okay, this is for citizen, but for passport, how should it be?
So the passport number and then the citizen name also.
Citizen name or what? Citizen
ID.
ID. So how should it show in the form?
In the
As a drop down.
Drop down or select list.
You already have studied it in
Exactly.
custom PHP. So it should have a drop down for the citizen, so that we can choose which. Yeah. So we'll create a new entity, CRUD for the same command basically, CRUD, and the name of the class should be passport. Okay, new name for the controller class, it should be passport controller. No, and that's it. So now if I go to passport/new /passport/new, so that's the form for it, right? What's the passport number? And this drop down has these IDs, but we should have names. So how to change it to name?
Passport type.
Yeah, if I go to passport type, and here this is the add citizen is the field name, and this is entity type class. I had mentioned it briefly in the previous class also.
Yes.
So it has a class of citizen class. It means which class this drop down should refer to, which entity. So it's the citizen entity, and the choice label is not ID, but we want it to be the name of the citizen. you can change it. Okay, so if I refresh the page, now you can see it has a name. So if, for example, the passport number is this, and this belongs to Azmat, and save it. Okay, similarly create new, and another one is this, and it belongs to maybe Umar, and save. Okay, now 2 entries have been made. If I go to the passport table and browse it, you can see 2 entries here. Okay, and if I go to the citizen table, Afaq still has no passport, but at least he has an entry in the citizen table. So citizen can exist alone without a passport, but passport must have citizen. Okay, so that's how you create a one-to-one relationship and then use it and add data to it, right?
Yes.
Any questions? And if you go to the just the passport, so it shows you all the passports so far.
Yes.
Okay, any guesses how could they have created this? Find all
Find all. Yes.
find all in the repository. We already have studied it.
Exactly. Sir.
Okay, now the next type is, we are done with one-to-one relationship. One-to-one, this was one-to-one.
Yes,
We will go to,
one to many.
so close it, and I will go to the folder again. Now one-to-many and many-to-one examples. Okay, so let me open the diagram, you will know what these are. Okay, so this is normally in the database diagrams, these 2 lines show the one side,
Yes, sir.
and this is normally called crow foot. It is like crow foot. Okay, crow's foot. So this is the many side of the
Yes, sir.
relationship. So one to many means if there is an author, he can write more than many books. One author can write multiple books. So this is the author table, and in the book table there will be a foreign key for the author ID. Okay, so this is one to many relationship. And what is many to one relationship? It is exactly the same, but the directions are different. So for example, even I can call this a many to one relationship, but if I see it from the angle of book, so if I'm sitting in the book table, for example, I can say this is many side of the relationship and this is the one side of the relationship. And if I'm sitting here in the author table, so I can call it one to many. Okay, similarly this is many to one relationship for employee and department. Each employee has belongs to one department. Okay, if an employee belongs to only one department, so this is many to one relationship. Many employees belong to one department, but one department belongs to many employees.
Many employees. Yes.
Like one department can have many employees. Okay, and even these verbs you can use yourself, belongs to or can have, for example. So department can have, an employee belongs to. Okay, but the diagram shows the many or the one part. Okay, so can you give me any other example like these for one to many or many to one? One student.
One company can have multiple employees.
Good.
That is one to many relationship. And from other side.
And you can use, for example, an article in many categories.
Yes.
One article can be
In many categories.
many categories, or many articles can be in one category. That is many to many relationship. We will study that also. But if you have the design like this, that many articles should be only in one category, then that is many to one or one to many. Okay, So for example, sports can have a lot of articles. Okay,
Yes.
so sports can have a lot of articles, but an article can have one category only, for example. Okay, so one to many, and we will again open this diagram and we will use the author and book example. Okay, an author can write many books. That's your problem which we are going to solve. Okay, so again, to make it easier for you, I will first create the author and book tables first.
Okay, sir.
They will be simple entities, and then I will make the relationship after the commit. So git if or git status, git add this, git commit -m, final code after citizen and passport relationship. Okay, now we need to create entity. So if php bin/console make entity, and the name of the entity should be author. Okay, again my question to you, where is it? Which of the tables should have the foreign key? Book.
Book one.
And which table should we create first?
Author one.
Author, because author can exist.
Yes, sir.
You can create book first as well, but it won't be logical to add content into the book, because a book must have an author. So if there is no author,
Yes, sir.
how can you refer it? So that's why first you need to create the author table so that we can add content to the author table. So it is author, name of the entity should be author. Okay, one more thing, the custom or the convention in programming languages or Symfony or even databases, whatever is, you should name the tables as singular, not authors, for example. Okay,
Yes.
I can call it authors also, this is not wrong, but the convention is to use a singular table name, because each record signifies just one author, for example. So author is the name of the entity, and the new property should be name. Name string, and that's it. I am not going to add any other fields. Okay, so can this field be null in the database? No, because we should have some name, and that's it. So one name is enough to let you know that author entity has been created. Now the next entity is book. So the same command, and then book has a title normally,
Yes, sir.
so we'll call it title, and that's it. So two tables have been now created. Okay, so if I make migration, if php bin/console make migration, so it has created the migration file, and now
I think you have created an entity with a title name. You have to create an entity with a book.
title, yes, you are right. Yeah, I just went ahead. So let me create the entity again. We will call it, let us call the entity as book, and now the property name is title, and we are not going to create any other. That's it. Okay, we can delete the entity class, but let it be there for now. We are not going to lose anything if a new table without any purpose has been created in our database, right? So ddef php bin console make migration,
Yes, sir.
and yes, now we are going to have ddef php bin/console doctrine migrations migrate. So now it will run those SQL script in the migration, and yes. Okay, basically table author already exists. Maybe we have run it twice or what?
Because of migrations.
What we did? It is good. Okay. Had we previously created these tables?
No, sir.
Author and author. Yes. Okay. Let me just check what is happening.
Yes.
So author is there. Okay. And which one was the other one?
Book.
And
Book.
title comes, so that's
Book and title. So category citizen, country, employees,
The last one, the title has been created.
and no book, right?
Yes.
So let me check what is happening.
The book entity is there, sir.
Book.php, this is book, and these are author, title, and this one is okay. This migration we should not have these. We can author and title, and similarly we need to let me repeat the command. And if we check, so now we have the book table also. Okay, actually we created the migration for author and title tables, and then it should not have those. So both the tables have been created now, author and book.
Yes, sir.
Right now, from the diagram here, which table should have the foreign key?
Book.
Book, because
Yes, sir.
book cannot exist individually.
Yes, sir.
It should reference an author. Okay, so the same git status. Let me just first git commit, sorry, git add, git commit -m author and book entities have been created, right? Okay, now we need to make a connection or relationship between the book and the author table. So again, the entity create entity command, make entity, and we will select which entity?
Book.
Book, and we will name the property. Okay, it's a relationship. So on the book side, the property should be 1. I mean, it should be singular. So what should it be called? The property should be called
Relation.
the type should be relation. The property should be called book and authors. So it should be author. On the book side, it should be author, not authors. Okay,
Yes.
and it should be relationship. Okay, you can just think from this perspective. Right now you are inside the book. So
Yes.
book is one or many?
It can be many.
Books are many.
Yes.
So it should be a many to one relationship, and the relationship it should belong to. So it should be author, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you are on the side of
Book. Yes.
book. So it should be
Many to one.
many to one. The first one. Okay, many to one. and it is the owning side also. Okay, so if you go to the code, you will see reverse by in it. Inverse by, sorry. Many to one. And is the book.author property allowed to be null? So what does this mean? No. We want to add a new property to author so that you can access, update book objects from it, e.g. author get books. So on the other side now, you are on the author side, it is asking you to, do you want to have a property for books also? So it will have the referred by. Referred by property. So you will make it yes. And what should you call it? It gives you the suggestion for books. Why? Because books are the many sides, so the property on the author side should have that property, and it's more than one, so that's why it's plural. So I will leave it as books. Do you want to automatically delete orphaned objects? Yes, no. This is I will leave it for no, but this is also that concept basically, and it's a tricky one. You can go to the documentation about it. So for example, if you change the reference, if you make it yes, it will delete it actually, but here you can update the reference so that different authors can be changed. I will leave it like this. The no is the suggestion, and even the documentation says if you don't understand it, just leave it as no. So we will leave it as no for now, and we don't need any other properties, and that's it. Okay, so if I git status it now, so both the files have been changed. What change should have come in the book? Let me just check the book first. So git diff this. So you can see it has added the many to one inverse by books, many to one, because it contains the foreign key, that's why it has the inverse by written here. And the books is the property which is on the author side. Nullable is false, and the property is author, and then the get author and set author, that's it, right? And if we do the same for the author side, so it will have some changes. Array collection object would have been created. It's array like object. Let me just git diff this. I think we had touched it or not in the previous class, but okay. It has one to many because author is one and it can have many books, right? So one to many relationship, and which target entity it belongs to? The book class, and mapped by author. Okay, so it's the one side and it is not the owning side. What is the owning side? Where the foreign key resides. Okay, just make it a rule. So it has the property is of type collection. This is very important. Okay, property collection books. So in the constructor of this entity, this dot books is new array collection. Array collection is included here in the plus sign. Okay, so the property the method get books, add books, and remove books. We are not going to use these methods, but if you want to understand them, you can. The collection is an array like object, so it is more powerful than array, that's why it is used. So object and array, arrays are arrays, objects are classes. So this object basically behaves like classes, and we can go to the code directly here to understand it. It's in entity author side. Okay, so in the constructor, the property is set. This dot books is set, which is an array collection. Okay, so array collection is included here. Doctrine common collections array collection, and the property name is books. This dot books, this one. Even the type is collection. This basically this property will have all those books which are associated with this author. So for example, if this author has created 10 books, so this property will have 10 books in the form of kind of an array. Okay, if we loop through it, it will be just like for each in PHP. So this is this are books new array collection, and if you need to add or remove elements from this, if you need to get all the books from it, so this is the method get books, return this that books. So this will return the array collection, right? But if you want to add a book to it, so the object of this class, entity class author, so for example there is an author, if I call add book, so a book will be passed to it, the book will be added to the collection. So if not this dot book, there is a method for the collection contains book. If this there is no, that book is not there, it will add it, and it will set the book or set author function. This is the books entity set author function. It will be set to this class. So this author is, for example, if the author is Azmat, it will set it to Azmat, this object, and return this. Similarly, if the remove book is used, book will be passed to the method of the author. So if this remove element method is successful, it will set the get the author. If the author is this object of the author class, so it basically does not remove it, it sets it to null. What does this mean? So for example, if we have to remove a book from a collection, we will unset the author from it, that's it, because this object has this collection, okay?
Yes, sir.
So only those books should be in this collection which are written by this author.
Yes, sir, exactly.
So if it has to be removed, we just remove the author from it, the linkage is
Yes, sir.
broken, that's it. You can read this code yourself also, we are not going to use it, but at least you know what is happening, okay? So this was the author side, and if you go to the book side, we already have studied it. We have created a author, because we are now in the book side, the author property has been created, and it is inversed by books, nullable, and the relationship is many to one, that's it. And wherever the inverse by is written, it means this is the owning side. But this is not just the distinction. The owning side is the one which affects the database table.
Yes, sir.
And how does it affect the database table? By creating the foreign key. That's it. Okay, so normal stuff now. Set author and get author. Okay. Now if we okay, now get status. These are change ones, and now get readif php bin console make migration, and now we will import migration. So readif php bin console doctrine migrations migrate, right? And yes. So what change it would have done if we go to
inside the book table,
book table now,
we'll have
and then
foreign
structure,
key.
you can see the author ID is there
Author
now,
IDs.
okay? And if you go to the relationship view, so this is the foreign key, that's it, okay? Now again, if I create forms for it, which part of the table should be created first? Should I create the book first or author first?
Author first.
Because author can exist individually, independently, but book has to have a relationship to the author. That's why
Yes,
we will not create authors the book first. We will create the
author first.
author first. So let me do it. Readif php bin / console make crud. Which entity? Author. And author controller? No, that's it. And let us create it for book also. Make crud. Book controller? No, and that's it. Okay, now if I go to book / sorry, author slash
New.
author slash new. So it gives me the name of the author. So I will call it Babar Azam. Create new Rizwan.
Shahinshah.
Okay, so these are the three players, but actually they are authors. Okay, now we will create books, some books. Book slash new. Okay, again it is referring the ID. So what change we will have to make? We will go to the form for the book and change it to the label.
Inside the book type.
Yeah, so there will be a book type in the forms. Book type. Here we just need to change the label to the name of the author. And basically,
Title. It's a title. Sir.
yes, no, author is name.
Name.
Author's name.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so the field type is, the name is author, and the field type is entity type class. You can go to documentation. So here you have to specify the entity class which it should refer. In custom PHP you will have to get all from that table and then loop through the select menu. Here you have just to use this in Symfony. Got it? So if I refresh the page now, this is the, so the title of Cricket My Life, a book. Its author is Babar Azam. Save. Right?
Yes, sir.
And if I create a new one and make it Keeping My Life, who should it be? Rizwan. These are two books now, and the third one should be
Number 1 ball.
Bad Bowling in Death Overs My Life. And who should it be? Shahinshah Afridi.
Shahinshah.
And save. Okay, so these three are the books now. So if you go to the book table, it has these three new titles and books also. Okay, let us add some more books from these authors. Okay, this is, so how can we do it? Create new. Babar Azam also, for example, wrote My Century in 2019 World Cup. Similarly, another book from him, Why I Am the King. Save. Okay. Another book from Shahinshah Afridi, How to Fail in Bowling Yorkers. It should be Shahinshah. Save. Similarly, another book from Shahinshah, it should be My Best Bowling Against Australia, for example, and it should be Shahinshah. Right? So these are the different books. If we check the table now, so these are different books, right? So right now you can check how many books have been written. Maybe if you can add one more book from Cricket in My Childhood, and it should be Babar Azam again. And let me create one more, and that is My Cover Drive, and it is also Babar Azam, right? That's it. So if you now come here and browse, so you can see all of these books have been written by these authors, right? This is normal stuff now. Now we need to do some real magic. We need to check some stuff. And if I go to, where should I go to? Authors, yes. So authors, we will show the authors and the books he has written.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I want to do. So I'll go to the authors section. This is the author, sorry, maybe the author repository. Okay, this is author repository, and
Author controller, I think.
author controller is fine also.
Yes, sir.
Author repository surrender this find all. This is the find all method, right?
Yes, sir.
So the find all method, basically if I go to the author's home page, this is route / author, so it will show us all the authors. / authors / author. So these are all the authors, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the query? If you go to the database queries, it should be select all from
Yes, sir.
select all from authors, and view runnable query, select this from author. So this is just one query. Okay, authors. Okay, I'm not going to render it, I am just going to dd it. dd like this. Okay, dd means
Okay, sir.
dump and die. I basically want to show you something, and this is / author. So it has an array, and each array has 3 separate objects: book, books, and this. Okay, do you remember what was the type of the books property on author? You can zoom it. What was the property on the books? It was
Books.
the name was books, but what was its type? If you go to the author entity, and the property name is book, yeah, books. So it was array type object called collection. It should be collection, not this type. It is persistent collection right now. Okay, so what is this? Actually, this is lazy loading of objects in Symfony. It could be automatically loaded as a collection. It will have all the books loaded also, but what to save and for performance purposes, Symfony does not, the Doctrine does not load it immediately. It just loads it as a persistent collection, but not the actual objects. That's the concept you need to understand. So the author books property should be an array like collection of all the books objects, but here it is just a persistent collection.
Yes, sir.
So this is lazy loading. Doctrine only will load it once you use it. Okay,
Okay.
so for example, I need to, it has 3 books or 4 books. Babar Azam has 4 books. Once I print the name of the book, Doctrine realizes that now I need to print it. So it forgets about the lazy loading, and then it loads them. Okay, so for example, I need to load this. How what I should do? I will go back to the repository, author controller. Here, find all. This is an array, right? So let me just first see this is authors, $ authors equals this, right? So this is now an array. So for each author authors as author, okay, it means, and now if I use dump, I will not use because it will just stop in the first loop. So iteration dump, author has the property books, but we can use the get books method to get the books of, got it? And for each one I need to get the books of the authors.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we dump it, refresh it, here we have a third one, and here it shows as the separate collection again. Those books have been obtained for us in the property, but it is an array collection now, but the persistent collection thing is still there.
Yes,
So even still it has run the function, but since we are not outputting anything from the book, we are just getting them. So, and if you go to the queries, now there are two queries. Which one are they? Select all from author. Okay, so were there two queries? Okay, maybe we are using this also. Let me comment out this one. And if I go to /author again, okay, we will just change it to author. Let me just use it as an empty array for now. Okay, okay, so now we have just one query because we are using the find all for just one time. This is the single query. But why is it single query? Because we are not still looping through or getting the book names.
Yes, sir.
But as soon as we start to get the book names also, then there will be. So if I, for example, assign it to $books equals this, get books, right?
Yes.
Now if I want to loop through individual books of a particular writer, author, so we need what? A nested loop for each books as book. And here now, since each book is a book object, so book get title, that's it. Is this okay?
Yes, sir. And dump it.
And we will dump it. That's it. Okay, now Doctrine realizes and understands that now they are serious about outputting the referred books also.
Yes, sir.
Now it will run other queries. Now there is no lazy loading. Got it? As soon as it knows that now the program is serious about outputting the related stuff, so what it will do? It will start fetching objects from the database. So if I refresh the page now, sorry, what is it? Author. And now the queries are 4,
Yes.
and all the books are
Titles.
all the titles of all the books are there.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The queries.
why are queries 4? Anybody?
Sir, one is for the author and
Very good.
3 is for the books.
It runs the
For
each
books.
time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is referred to as n+1 problem in Symfony Doctrine. You can Google it, write it down, n+1. So for example, if there are maybe 20 authors, so it will run it 21 times. Okay, first for the,
Yes, sir.
and then each time for a particular book associated with it. So how to it for small sites is not a problem, but for larger sites it can bring some issues regarding performance,
Yes.
right? So there is a solution for it, and that solution is based upon something called Doctrine query language. Doctrine query language, DQL. You can go to its documentation also. Okay, so it's SQL like language. Doctrine query language is SQL like language, and it is not 100% SQL, but it generates SQL. And because Doctrine is can have multiple database types like SQL Server, Oracle,
Yes, sir.
Postgres, so SQL can be different. That's why it standardizes the SQL language using its own DQL, which is not 100% SQL but SQL like language, and under the hood it generates SQL related to relevant databases. So we'll touch it. I will go to the author repository class and create author repository class, this one. Okay, come to the bottom of the page, and here I will create a public function for now, just to get ourselves acquainted with what DQL is, Doctrine QL. So public function get all by DQL. Right now we use find all, right?
Yes, sir.
But this will use this. Okay, get all by DQL. So we can have this. Sorry, where did I jump to? Okay, $sign this dot create query. So create query builder. Okay, this dot create query builder, but before query builder we need to I'm not getting the create query method, and I just need to know why. Select, what's the name of the table? Author. From here you need to specify the class name. So entity slash what it is. So sorry, app slash entity slash author, and it has you can give alias to an object of the class. Okay, so for example, select author means all the fields, and basically this is not fetching the data from the table directory. This is from the object actually. So because Doctrine provides us objects, this is, you can say, objects query language. You can call it objects query language. So select author from app entity author, and then you have to alias it. This is a must. So this is, for example, I will call it author. This means all, and this means like the whole object, and this is the alias for this class. This, yeah. Okay, so select author from this, and we will call it pql equals this. Okay, so this dot create query, select author from this as author, and order by, or you can call it order by which field? Author dot id desc. What does this mean? Descending order. So now it will fetch the dql, and we can chain it, but we can use this also, dql colon create query or get query. These are two ones. So let me just check the documentation. I always get confused in it. It's a create query. Okay, where it is, this one, create query, and then the get result. Okay, here if I use entity manager, that's why it was not giving us that. So how to use entity manager interface? Entity manager, and we will call it entity manager interface, or entity manager is fine also, right? Now this should be entity manager create query. Okay, and then dql get result. That's it. Okay, and we'll assign it to be to or maybe just return. Is this fine? Now we need to use this in the controller for fetch all. Okay, and if I go to the author controller and the find all, this is the index method, right?
Yes.
Author is equal to get author repository find all, right?
Yes,
I will comment out my code for now, this code, just to, and what should the function, and even this line I'll duplicate it, and what should this line be changed to now? Find get all, get all by dql.
Yes.
Now what does this mean? No, basically we have done the wrong thing. Where it is, entity manager, we should not be having it here. How to inject?
It should be inside the constructor.
Yeah, but it probably is already there. Entity manager,
Control X.
You will register.
this data. Let QueryBuilder area. Let us just check what it throws us. So, and I will change it to authors again in the controller. Authors. So what we are going to use now, author. Okay, and that's what we have some problem in. We'll quickly fix it in a while. And I think the problem is here. If you go to the repository, we should be the author repository, because this method is available on the entity manager, this dot create this. So we need to first use this get entity manager, this one, and then the create query. Hope this will resolve it. And yes, it has been resolved. Now how to know it has worked? Because now the order is in descending. The foreign key 3 is on the top. If I remove this order by this, so it will be normal. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you can see it is getting changed. Now coming back to the problem, I will uncomment author controller, right? This
Yes, sir.
the code which I had written. I will uncomment it again. Let us change it to empty array for now. Okay, so now I need to get all by DQL. I need to have something else. Okay, I will create another method in the repository, and it can be anything. So this is normal DQL stuff. It is creating, like you will have to use some SQL like query called DQL. Okay, but there is the something called create query builder, and this is directly available on the repository class create query builder. So we can copy this method by DQL QB. I will add QB to it at the end. Okay, so the same stuff can be done this way also, and it will be now this dot create query builder. Now this is available directly on the repository class, right? And we will assign it some, and again it should be author. This is directly you can author like this. Okay, so this dot create query builder author, this part of the code is exactly like this query. This author is the alias. So this dot query builder author, and then you can chain it. Okay, elements like this. Okay, order by or add order by, both you can do. Order by what?
Author ID.
Author dot id,
Yes.
and the second parameter is
Should be descending.
DESC, like this. Okay, and you can also use criteria colon this. You can read the documentation, but this part and this part is the same for this. And then now I will comment this line out. This is a query builder author this, and it will be, and then you need to run another one. What it was, get result, and this is something get query first and then get result, like this. Okay, and we'll assign it to, we'll return it simply. Remove this line. Okay, so this is the create query builder author, add order by this, get query, get result, right? This and this is same, but this is easier to write, broken into and this is builder type rather than this. So now get all by DQL and get all by DQL QB, this is another matter, right? So you know we are creating it by the create query builder. So in the controller now we need to change the function to, and let me, sorry for this, but let me comment this out again. And I will change it to authors so that we see some output on the author. So this is the older one. Let me refresh it so that you can see what we are getting. This is the older one, but if I change it to DQL QB, so it has changed. Both are the same, but now we have created the query through query builder. And if you go to documentation, there is then this query builder documentation here. If you come down to the query builder section, by the way, you should first study query, but query builder is easier. The query builder, this one. So this is very, this dot, it is available on the get entity manager. So if you have to directly use it from the controller, you will use the entity manager, but if you are getting it from repository, so you will use it from this dot get entity manager. And then okay, so you got the difference. The query builder basically creates DQL queries for you. Rather than typing them yourself, you will have to use methods like this.
Just aliases for
Yeah, so if I go to author repository again, and this is the get all by DQL QB. Now I want to get, and the main problem was n+1 problem. We have to solve that problem. So anywhere you can join to the other object. Okay, so here we can use add join left join, sorry, and it is different than normal queries. We can write the join everywhere. Okay, so left join, where should it be joining? This is the question. Book, this is object. Okay, again I said the query builder and the DQL, they are not normal queries, they are object based queries. So left join means which book. This is the entity name, and the join should also be an alias. Okay, but not book, which property is there in the author which relates to the book. Which property is in the author which relates to the books?
Book ID.
Okay, normally book ID, but here you have to use the properties in the. So if you go to the entities, author entity, okay,
Read book.
so this is the property books. So as I said, you should think from the objects or the class PHP classes aspect, not the databases now. Doctrine solves that automatically for me. So we will use the books property, and behind the scenes it will in the database do this normal joins which we used to do ourselves in custom PHP course. So what should be the where is my repository? This one. So the left join should be on which author dot books. This is the property name, right? Not the column name in the database. Remember. So left join this and the name of the alias. So we can call it book or anything, right? So this dot create query builder author, left join this. So now it has created a join to but we should add. We can add now. Add select. Now I need all the fields from the books table, for example. All the fields from book. So or books. So what it should be? Books. This is the join. Okay. So book. It means all the books. But for now I will use book dot title, for example, or book for now is select book. So this means select everything from author, select everything from book. And if we go to the documentation for add select, there is actually one part in this documentation which I want to show you what it returns actually. Maybe it is in there are 3 points. This basically it shows you, maybe this is the part I need to read it again. But if you include different things in the select, it returns different things. The function, this will return different things. Okay, so if we add scalar values, let me just quickly scalar, yeah, you need to read this, all objects, all scalars mixed. So this is the thing I was referring to. You should read this. Okay. Now if I dump this query, return this that create query builder, add select book, left join this, add order by, get query, get results, right? And if I refresh the page now, there is nothing, no difference. But if I now uncomment my code, this code, and I will use this empty array, and I will uncomment this code. It is giving us all the records, right? But what's the difference? Before we implemented this join, QueryBuilder join, and the find all method.
The difference is that it has been using before that it has been using multiple queries for the selection.
Good.
And right now it is using only one query for the selection.
Zabardast. That's the answer I wanted to hear. So you can see now there is just one query.
Yes.
This is that n+1 problem solved. Sorry, it was a lot of stuff. That's why we had some problems also. But if I change this to, I comment out this and use the old one for find all. Nothing has changed, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are you expecting now? If I refresh it,
So it will have 4 queries.
it has 4 queries now.
Yes.
Now even if you have 40 authors on this page, for example, so you will have just one query.
One query for that.
Now it's and previously it would have be 41, for example. And this problem is even worse in many to many relationships, and you can do the same there also, the joins. Okay. So is this clear now? Or maybe I can repeat it a bit. So the native find all method basically queries a lot of stuff, but if we use QueryBuilder, which we have used in the author repository here, we created a left join, and basically you have to think about in the context of objects, not actual database tables, and behind the scenes QueryBuilder will do it for you. So how we created the QueryBuilder query? We used the this dot create QueryBuilder, and author means this is the alias, and all the elements of that object will be selected. Then add select book, and the join is via the property of the author. That's very important.
Yes.
But behind the scenes it will be book ID in the database, book order by this, and get query, get result. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so I hope we have solved. You can also Google about n+1 problem in Doctrine or Symfony, whatever, and you will get something like this. So I will remove the, I will uncomment the this so that we can have it back. I will uncomment the authors and comment this one. That's the difference. Okay.
Pass the author.
Yes. Okay.
Authors. Yes.
And you can see there is still one query.
One query.
It looks really good
Yes, sir.
with the joins. And probably you won't write for such any complex joins, but you can go to the documentation of DQL all the time, and you can know what you do. You can do. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But again, I will say you have to think about querying from the object properties, objects and properties, not the database tables. But the concept basically remains the same. Under the hood, Doctrine does all of that for you. So we have covered. Actually, I was planning to do this n+1 at the end once I have done all the relationships, but that's good too. So if I come to the diagram, this one, we have done the author and book relationship type,
Yes, sir.
right? So we can now display the book. So the thing is, let us try if I dump the author now, this, sorry,
And the control.
it's in the,
Control source.
yeah. So we are passing just the author's object, right? So there you can loop through in the twig also
Yes, sir.
the same stuff which we are doing in the dump. I'm not going to explain this, but you can basically use the authors, because this is every author, so author for author in authors, and then you can get the books object and display the books names and all. Okay,
Okay, sir.
you can do all that. This code is dumping it. You can do the same in
Twig also.
Twig also. I'm not going to repeat that because just to save time. Okay, so this type of relationship, which was one to many or many to one, we have done it. Now if I go to the many to many, okay, one example is this is the job candidates and job applications relationship. And this is many to many. So how can I explain anybody? This is candidates,
Yes, sir.
those who apply for jobs. These are the jobs. These are two independent tables. Okay, so one candidate can apply to multiple jobs,
Multiple jobs.
one to many, and multiple jobs are applied for by the candidates. Okay, so for example, we cannot do it in one table only. That's why the normal thing is, and normal norm is to create a third table, which is called junction table. We already have studied junction tables. So for job applications, we need to know which employee has applied for, which candidate has applied for which job,
Which job? Yes.
and each candidate can have multiple jobs. Similarly, one job, multiple candidates can apply, and one candidate can apply for multiple jobs. So this is one to many to many relationship. There has to be one individual table for candidates, one for jobs. Okay, and then a junction table or bridge table it is called, where IDs from both the tables are stored.
Yes.
And if I basically had to open this one, okay, so this is the same table with no extra fields. This is what Doctrine will let us create. Okay, the candidates ID table, jobs table, individual tables, and then the third table, which is called junction table. It will have IDs from the candidate as well as from the jobs.
Job also.
And ignore this first column, application ID. So you can have application ID, but for now just ignore it. The two most important fields are the candidate ID and job ID,
Yes, sir.
and they both are foreign keys to these two tables.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is what we are now going to create, and we will follow the same route. Okay, I will first create the candidates, and again just the name, the jobs, just the job title, that's it.
Okay, sir.
And then we will create the many to many relationship, and it will create the jobs application table automatically for us.
Okay, sir.
Let us first git add everything, git commit -m. What was this?
Book and author.
Book and author final. Now we will generate candidate table,
Make entity.
the candidates table, and the jobs table. Okay,
Yes.
these are plural, but we will make it singular.
It's because of name convention.
Deref php bins console
Make entity.
make entity,
Yes.
and the name should be city, no sorry, candidate date. Okay,
Yes.
and we will have just one field in it, name,
Yes.
and nullable should be no, and that's it. One table is created, class, then jobs. So the same command,
Make entity.
and the name should be job, and it should be title. Job should be title. This is simple stuff. You can increase the number of fields in it yourself, but for now the candidate has the name property and the job has the title property. That's it. Now ddf will make migration.
Yes, sir. ddf PHP bin console.
Make migration. So it will create two one migration with two queries in it, and then we will import it so that tables are created. ddf php bin slash console doctrine migrations migrate. And if we go to php myadmin, we will have two more tables. db candidate and job.
Yes, sir.
And these are just tables. Okay, these are id and name,
Yes, sir.
and the job has id and title. Now we need to create for the many to many relationship more than the other or the junction table needs to be created also. This one, job application. Okay, but how is it going to be created? Doctrine will do it for us if we change the git status, and I will git add this git commit -m candidate and job entities have been created or created, whatever. Okay, now I need to add the relationship, and the relationship should be many to many. Okay, ddf php bin slash console make entity, and which one? Okay, again, where should be the foreign key? There is no direction in it, but still we need to specify it. So who should exist first? Candidate. So job should be the inverse side, where the inverse is written, or where the, you can decide on both of them, but at least somewhere you have to add the relationship. So we will do it with a job. So the job should be updated. Now add name. So name should be, this is many to many, so one job will have many candidates. Okay, so we'll call it candidates. Okay, this is the job entity. So here we call referred as candidates, and what should be the type? Relation. And which class should it relate to? Candidates, right? And now it will ask for the type of relationship. So what should it? Many to many. To many, right? Okay, do you want to add a new property to candidate so that you can access, even if you know it, it still will create the relationship. Okay, but for now we will yes it so that those properties are created. So do you want to add a new property to candidate so that you can access update job objects from it? We will make it yes for now. Okay, and field inside the candidate. So it's basically it's giving you the suggestion because it's many to many, so candidate also can apply to many jobs. That's why it's jobs. We will leave it as it is. Add another property, enter the name of, no need, and that's it. Okay, so what change it would have brought? First we need to run the make migration, and then this one, Doctrine migrations migrate. Yes, Now if you go to the DB, and you can see the job candidate table has been created automatically,
Yes.
just with the relationship. It knows this is many to many relationship, so it will create a new table for us automatically, the join table. And if we go to the structure of it, so, and the relationship view, it has two foreign keys. And if you go to the structure, these are just two tables, job ID and candidate ID. That's it.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
So automatically these things have been created for us. That's it.
Create a CRUD.
Now we need to create CRUD for
Candidate and job also.
candidate and job, right?
Yes.
But this is going to be a bit different than the normal make
CRUD.
CRUD. Okay, so let us do it. First we need to add some candidates. We also need to add jobs. These are two separate tables. So we will create CRUD for these two and then we will relate the two. And how it is that will that be done? Let us do it. So let us first create a CRUD for the candidates. Make entity, no sorry, make CRUD. Let me type it. It is php bin / console make CRUD. So it is going to be for the candidate and this and this, and that's it. And similarly we want to have it for the job also. Job name is job controller, no, and good. Now we need to enter some data in both of them. Okay. So it is going to be candidate / new, and you can see because it knows it is one to many. So if somebody wants to apply, if this person wants to apply for certain jobs, so that can appear here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's do it. But how about, maybe first let us do it. So what does this mean? Can I select job here?
No, sir.
So let us create a job.
Yes, sir. Before that, we have to insert some job.
So job / new, and it refers to candidates. Okay. So I'm not going to do it from both the forms. Let me remove the related fields.
Okay, sir.
It will only be title, and in another one
Name.
it will be name. So how to do it? You also
Candidate
know.
type.
We will go to the form
Candidate type.
and we will remove this one.
Yes, sir.
For now let me remove this one, and similarly the job type I will remove the candidates. We will do it differently. Okay, not this way. And save. So if we change the form, if I'm now on the job, both are right now irrelevant. We can create any of them. So for example, web developer required and save. Create new. Engineer required, save. Doctor required, save. And JS developer required, save, and so on. You can add a lot of jobs like this. Similarly, if I go to /candidate /new, so Jamal Kamal Wasim Akram Pakar Shoaib Akhtar, and so on. So these are the candidates. Both entries have been made. Now there needs to be a form where somebody can apply for a job. So my question to you, what should happen if, for example, Kamal applies for web developer job? What should happen?
It will insert the IDs inside the junction table.
Exactly. So it will basically nothing else will happen, because both of those candidate and jobs already have been added to the database in their respective tables. Now once somebody applies, what will happen is, in this junction table job candidate, for example, if the job ID of web developer is 3 and the candidate ID is 2, so 3 and 2 will be added to the
Yes, sir.
in this table, right? So let's create a form for that. And how can you visualize that form? Anybody? We need to have a form with 2 drop downs,
Yes, sir.
job and the candidate.
Yes, sir.
Normally you should just click on a job title and it will be in the URL, for example, and the form will be saved. But here let me just do it this way for now, so that you understand the logic behind. We need to have a form with 2 drop downs. One should have the jobs in it and the other drop down should have. So how can we do it? We will create a form here, generate a form, and it will not be linked to any entity. It will be just a form. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So first
Detail.
or we can do, yes, form is fine. Let me first create the form. Rediff php bin / console make form. Okay. The name of the form class, we will call it job application type. Job application type. Okay. The name of the entity, so empty for none. We are not going to bound it to any entity. It is a normal form. Okay. And the form has been created. So if you go to the form now, where it is, form entity type, job application type, sorry. So this is normal stuff. Here we will add, and if I go, we can quickly add it from the candidate type. If I control and Z, I will copy it and or maybe cut it now and move it to add this. Okay. So we have added a jobs field, and it should be entity class this job. We need to import these classes and the job class also. So entity job and entity type.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I will just quickly copy and paste this one. What should it be now? It should be candidates
Candidate, yes, sir.
and entity type class, and this will be
Candidate.
Look how powerful it is. We just need to specify the names of the entities, and the drop down automatically will be. What is this? One on candidate. That's
These
okay.
will be the names.
And this is in the jobs it is title, and in candidate it is name.
Names.
Okay, so the form is now created. It will be 2 drop downs with values from the job class,
Yes.
job and the candidate.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The next thing is we need to create a controller and some method in it,
Yes, sir.
so that we can access this form. So what we can do is, let us quickly create a controller also. Rediff php bin / console make controller, and it should be job application controller, job application controller. we want to generate PHP, no, and that's it. So controller has been created. Even a index.html page twig file also has been created for us. So if you go to the code, and if I go to the controller, this is job application controller. Okay, so this is the job/application path should be this controller, but I will copy it quickly, and or maybe let us change it to /new. So job/application/new is the path, and this is, and we will make it form and $sign form, index.html. okay, here how to create a form in
Create form build.
yeah, this dot create form from a class. Okay, so the class name is job application type colon class, and this is going to be the form. Let us not process it for now, just to check if form is ready. So in the index.html.twig, I will just output the form, job application, and index. Here we will just remove everything else from it and output form. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and if I go to job/application/new, and good, we have the form now. One thing we have missed, that is button. So where are we going to?
Type.
Form.
Job candidate type.
Where is the form? Sorry.
Yes.
Here we need to add one more thing. Add, save, and the type is going to be submit type.
Yes, sir. Submit type.
Submit type, this one, right?
Colon class.
Class, and the third one should be
Label.
apply. It's array, right?
Yes, sir.
Label, apply. That's it. So the apply button.
Yes, sir.
Now if, for example, I click on this and submit,
Yes, sir.
it should, what it should do?
Insert the IDs into the job candidate.
Yeah, exactly. And let us not have it this way. We can even change it to one entry at a time. So if I remove this,
True, yes, sir.
so this now will be simple. So if, for example, I want to apply for engineer required, and the candidate is this, and apply, save. Okay, in real world, even this field is not needed. If the person is logged in, so the ID automatically will be in the session or something like this, and it will save it. Okay, but this is just for your demo, how it adds entries to the junction table. Okay, now we need to process the form once it is submitted. And how can we do it? In the controller where we are rendering the form, this job application here, first step is to, what should we do? Form, and we can pass request object, request $request, and this request should be added bot class. Okay, here form handle request, and we'll pass it request, right?
It's a request.
Request. Clear?
Yes.
The next if
Form submit.
what was
Is
saying?
submitted.
If form sorry is submitted
Is valid.
and $sign form
Is valid.
is valid,
It is not. Yes.
then do something, right?
Yes.
And that is going to be, for now I will just dump form get data. Okay,
Yes.
form get data, and I will dump it. What do you expect this dump to be? Or maybe DD, because this is no loop. What should be if I dump it now? If I save it,
Select.
for example, engineer required and
Yes.
Jamal and apply.
Yes, sir.
So what do you expect in the data?
It have
Two
a
IDs or objects?
object, sir.
Because Doctrine is making it all objects for us.
Objects for us, yes.
Okay, so if I submit it, you can see it's an array of two things,
Yes, sir.
the jobs and the candidates.
Yes, sir.
And even here it is, because it is loading it persistent collection.
Yes, sir.
I don't need to worry about all this, but right in custom it would have been just the ID,
Yes, sir.
but here it is, even behind the scenes it is fetching select all from this where ID and creating it into an object.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you should know what is happening, right? So now you can, what we can do is, now for example I can get both the data, I can assign it to an object, sorry, a variable, data equals this, right?
Yes, sir.
And data, sorry, data, what was it, job?
Yes, sir.
So $sign job is
Job.
job equals this, and $sign candidate equals, sorry, candidate, right?
Yes.
So job and candidate.
Yes.
Now this is a question, how can I save this into the database? So that's why the entity system is very powerful. It has the methods. Okay, if you go to, for example, if it can be now done from both sides because it's many to many, but if I go to the job, for example, okay, if I go to the job entity, what does it have? It is a collection, right? It has collections, and by the way, both the job and the candidate have the collections for the property. So if add candidate, what should it be passed? The candidate object. Add candidate object, that's it, nothing else we need to do. We need to run this method add candidate on the job object, or if we go to the candidate, so here it will be add job, the same collection it has.
Yes.
So we can do it from both directions, any of the two will work. Okay, so if we go to the controller, this job application controller here, now if I use job add candidate, simple, job add candidate, which candidate? This one, candidate, and again it is the object, not the ID.
Yes, sir.
It is the object, not the ID. Behind the scenes it will do it automatically. So what should be the step after this?
Persistent flash.
Good. So job, do we have entity manager here?
No, sir.
So entity
Manager interface.
entity manager interface and entity manager. Even you can just call it entity manager. Save. Okay. So entity manager, sorry, entity manager,
Don't sign this.
Dollar sign this.
No, it is inside the function.
entity manager persist, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes.
To
what
pass
is this?
candidate object.
And this will be past the job,
Object, yes, sir. Job.
because we have added it to the job, right?
Okay.
And then the flush. Just this. Okay. Now if I remove the
Okay. Data.
yes, and we can do the flash message here and redirect to some page. So for now I will this dot add flash, it's success, and you have
Successfully applied for the
successfully applied for the
job.
job. Okay. And this dot redirect to route, and what's the route to redirect to? For now let us just redirect it to some, which page should we redirect to? Maybe this form again for now. So we'll redirect it to job application new. Maybe if he wants to, you all you know what should we do? We should create a new controller, and it should have a message displayed, you have successfully applied for the job. But for now, just to save time, we are redirecting it again to this form. By the way, we will use the route name. Okay, that's it. So if we come to the new again, and web developer required Jamal. By the way, let me go to this function, and if I browse it, it is empty right now. And if we apply undefined array key job data job, what was it? Once we it job or what? Get data. Let me dump it again. Dump data. Not it is fine. This okay, jobs and candidates. Jobs and candidates. And remove the DD for now. So apply. It is redirected to this page, and if I refresh the page in the database, and you can see 1 entries have been made, right? If I apply for another job, for example doctor required, and the user is Wasim Akram, and the page is refreshed, so you can see this is another one. And if I apply for engineer required and Wasim Akram again, so this, if I try to call it again, engineer required and Wasim Akram apply, what do you think will be the
No, it will not insert the data.
it should, yeah, it should be unique, and it is not entering it to the data, right? So all the things have been taken care of for you by Doctrine, and you just need to, this is just basic stuff now. Creating a controller redirects, I mean, I'm not going to go into details of that because we have still a lot to cover, but you can now know how to save data for many relationship.
Yes.
And the key only is you in the this is basically the stuff. The method which is on one of the entity classes, you just need to pass the opposite side of the relationship to it. That's it. And then persist and the flush. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now one more thing, and that is, if we, for example, go to the job candidate table, it is having just job ID and candidate ID.
Yes.
Okay, but I want to have, for example, cover letter also, or the application date here. What should I do? Because Doctrine in relationship just creates these two columns for us. So I also want, for example, if a person applies and in the form here there is a cover letter also, that I am this and that, and maybe CV also, upload a file for CV and all that. So I need extra information with the application form. What should I do?
You should have to create another column.
Yeah, that's what we want to achieve, to create other columns for
Yes, sir.
cover letter
Cover letter or CV.
and CV, for example. So we will make it simple. We will create a other column for cover letter, but in this current setup it won't do it for us. So the thing to do is, we will create 3 separate entities, not the junction table here.
Okay, sir.
We will create 3 separate entities. So if I open the designs, the diagrams, this one, so candidates is an entity, jobs is an entity, and this table was created automatically for us, right?
Yes, sir.
But now, because we need other fields also, applied at and status and all that, so, and Doctrine by default just creates 2 columns for us
Yes,
with the relationship. So we will make this also an entity. So now how many entities we will create? 3. So let me just quickly create this entity. You already have seen this and this. So let us create the table now, entity actually, which will serve as the junction table with extra field of cover letter. So driv php bin / console make entity, and the name of the entity should be job application, or you can call it anything, job application. So it will create the entity and the repository, and now we will add fields to it, and the first one should be cover letter. For now, for the demo, just one field is enough, extra field, so we will call it cover letter, and it should not be nullable. And next, we need to create 2 foreign keys in the table behind the scenes, but they will be many to one relationship in this entity. Why many to one? So we are going to, because if it is going to refer to the job table, so one job will have many entries here in this table. Similarly, many candidates entries will be here against a single candidate. So it's going to be a many to one relationship. And what should be the name of the property? So you will get used to it, but the way I have perceived it in my mind, if it is a many to one relationship, so the property which you are going to create should be singular. These are kind of opposite. So because it's many, the relationship is many, but the property should be singular. So we'll call it job, and then the type should be relation, and it is going to be which class should this entity be related to? It should relate to the job entity type.
Yes.
And now the relationship type should be many to one.
Yes.
Is the job application dot job property allowed to be null? Because we don't want, it won't make any sense if there is no entry for the job in this table, so it should not be null. So we will make it no. We want to add a new property to job so that you can access, update job application objects from it. For now we will make it yes, but in the job entity we can get job application, so this is a shortcut. We will do the yes. New field inside the job, so it already has named it job applications.
Yes.
So this will be created inside the job entity. We want to automatically delete, we will make it no and add another property. So another property is going to be another foreign key, and to which table it should be? The candidate. So we will call it, again this is going to be a many to one relationship, so we will call it
Candidate.
candidate.
Name should be singular.
So it should be singular. Field type should be relation, and which class? It should be candidate, and the relation should be many to one.
relationship.
Is the candidate property allowed to be null? So again it should not be null. We want to add a new property, we should add it, because get job applications both should function the same, just like the job table. So we'll make it yes, and job again this should be job applications inside the candidate as well. And we want to automatically delete the often, we'll make it no for now, and these are fine, because if you want to have CV or other fields you can do that, but for now we will just add the candidate field and these two relationships, and that's it. So the third table, which will be serving as the junction table, has been created, and now we need to make a migration. I'll just quickly copy this and did it, make migration. Then the next step is this one, Doctrine migrate. So ddiv migrate yes, and if you go to ddiv php my admin, so in the db what was the name of the table?
First one is candidate and job application.
Candidate job application is the previous one probably. Okay. So it's good enough to know that job ID and candidate ID have been added, and with the cover letter. Is this clear?
Yes.
So if you go to the relationship view, these are two foreign keys
Yes, sir.
to their respective
Table.
tables. And if you go to the job, let me, if I think I have wiped out some of the data, so let us first add some jobs and candidates, and then we will have a controller to add content into this table as well. So if you remember, we have slash job slash new, I will name it web developer required, create new, engineer required, doctor required, and these 4 jobs are good enough for now. Okay, so if you refresh the table, these are the entries made.
Yes.
Similarly, we can add candidate new, so Jamal, Kamal, these are fine for now. Okay. Now to add content into the new table which has been created for us, the entity, this job application. So what are your guesses? We need to have one job selected, candidate, and some text, cover letter text, and we will save the entity. So for this purpose, we already have a controller in the, if you remember, we created a controller, job application controller.
Yes.
So here I will just quickly create another method. Let me just copy the controller for now, the method for now. We'll make it job application / new / what should we call it, maybe double new, okay, and underscore new or job. So let me make it some proper one, job application cover letter. We'll call it cover letter. So we'll know this is now it cover letter. Okay, so job application cover letter, and we call it cover. And let me remove everything from here, and also cover dot cover slash sorry cover dot HTML. But I think we don't need to have this. We can just return directly some response so that we can save some time. Okay, so for now the path should be job application cover letter. Okay,
Yes.
and it will create the new. Okay, so what we can do is we already have entity manager here,
Yes.
so let us create a job first. Job is equals new job. We can fetch some job also, but for now this will be this, and job set title. For example, the new job should be Drupal dev required. Okay, we need to import this class now. Okay, so Drupal dev required. Similarly, we need to have candidate, a new candidate. In real world you can choose it, select the job or candidate from a form, but right now this is just hard coded stuff. So candidate equals new candidate, and candidate set name equals set name should be Jawad, for example. That's it. Now you need to persist both of them
Yes, sir.
before creating the actual one. So entity manager persist job, and similarly here we will have the manager persist candidate, right? Now my question to you is, both of these will be created once we flush it. So how to create the third entity we have created, which is job application, right? So how to do it? We will just, it's going to be job application, something like this, equals new job application. Job application, and it is the entity, right?
Yes.
So job application set cover letter. Set cover letter. Dear sir, I am very needy and need this job, for example, right? And then what are we going to set? The two we are going to set the two foreign keys,
Yes.
the referred entities. This is one and this is the second one. So job application set candidate and set job.
Yes, sir. Set.
These are two methods for setting up the,
Yes, sir.
and you must now know why we had kept them singular, because these are just one. So set candidate should be the candidate, $ candidate, and similarly job application set job as the job we have created, this one, right? So now both the values have been set. Now we need to persist it as well.
Entity manager.
Sorry, entity manager persist,
Job application.
and this is going to be job application. And now the most powerful of them all, now we want all of this to be sent to database, so flush, that's it. And but this is a method, cover not all, okay. Now we need to return a new response, and that response is going to be Symfony response. Have we included it? And response, yes, we already have a response, and we will just make it new application added. One question, if I access it once, it will make one entry,
Yes, sir.
and the second time if I change values here, it will make another entry,
Yes, sir.
right? So we'll do it this way. Let us access job application cover letter, and what it will do is it will make an entry, hopefully, job application cover letter, and must response none return. Okay, we needed to return something, but my guess is return new. What does it say? Return must foundation response none return. Okay,
This.
response return new response. Did we save it? Application controller, it is cover, entity type, return new response, response. Let me access the table if it has done something in it. The application, and it already has made the entry, but maybe for some reason, let us change the values now. Now it is going to be PHP dev required, and it will be Salman, and please just this, and we will return new response. This is returning a response, I'm not sure. Okay, but we will run this again, so maybe we had not saved it.
Yes.
Okay, if I refresh the page, so you can see we have now two entries and the corresponding cover letters also. So I hope this is clear.
Yes.
I will leave it to you now for any other stuff, but you can add entries like this in a third table, which can be used for junction in Doctrine. Okay, we have one more example to cover, and then we will move on to other topics, and that is I have added 3 separate diagrams into the folder relationship folder. One of them is employees and self-referencing. So for example, this is a table for employees. It has name, email, but a foreign key to the same table itself, which is manager ID. Okay, so an employee can be a manager is also an employee, but an employee can have a manager. So rather than create a separate table, we save that ID of the employee within the same table as foreign key, which refers itself. This is known as self-referencing tables. So once we have this example, you will know what I mean. Similarly, for comments, we already have started in our custom PHP application. So comment table is also one of such kinds. So this is the parent comment, normal comment, and then if there is a parent comment to a comment, we have this as a foreign key as well. So this is also self-referencing. And similarly, for example, categories in Drupal also we have such a design. So you can have nested categories. So for example, entertainment is a main normal category, but if it has some parent, so its ID will be mentioned as foreign key here. So we can do any of these examples for self-referencing. I will go with the employee self-referencing, and once we have done it, you will know how it works. So let us start. We will create a new entity, ddiv php bin console make entity, and we will call it employee. Bin console make entity employee, right? So the property names, so the employee should have a name. That's it, and should not be in the label. Next, we will add the foreign key here. So many, please tell me, is it going to be one to many or many to one relationship? If an employee has a manager, right? So because this table is serving for employees, so employees are the many people and manager will be one. So this relationship should be many to one. And as I said, if it is many, what should be the nature of the, it should be singular. So we will call it manager, right? Manager. And the type should be relation. Now this is the most interesting part. Normally we refer another class for the relationship, but here the class should be the same class. Self class in code it will appear as. So we'll make it employee, the same class, right? And what should be the relationship? As I said, many to one. Many to one. Is the employee manager property allowed to be null? Yes. Why? Because there can be employees who don't have managers. That's why it will be nullable. So in this case we will choose yes. Do you want to add a new property to employee so that you can access update employee objects from get employee? So we can say yes. Field name inside the employee, so we will call it yes, employees is fine. Add another property, enter the property name, and we don't need any other values. That's it. So the table has been created. What is the next step? Make migration. Let me first import it. So ddiv this, and then this, ddiv yes. So let us check the tables it has created for us. This is going to be, what did we name our employee? So it has the ID, name, and manager ID. That's it. And if you go to the employee table, this one, so let us, this is that manager property. It is many to one, and the target entity is self class. You can name it employee class also, but self class, and it is being inversed by the employee's property, right? And the employee's property is a collection like any many to one relationship. Okay, that's it. So it's normal stuff. We can create a CRUD for it. Let us do it quickly. just CRUD. The rest you can do it yourself. Okay, so def php bin / console make CRUD. The name for the class is employee. Choose name for the controller, employee controller. No, and that's it. So if I go to employee / new now, employee / new, so it has the name for, and we can leave the manager empty for now. Let us try if it works. So name is Azmat and save. So Azmat has been added. Now if I create new, let us change the form because it is referring the ID. So if I go to the forms and employee type 1, this one is, maybe it already had created this. It should be name. If I refresh it, let me check if it is okay. So this is now this is selected. I cannot unselect it. So what we can do is we can have placeholders. I think placeholder, and it should be please select manager. In case I have to select the manager, then this is, so only if I need to make somebody a manager, should have a manager, I will do it. So for example, this is Lukman and I leave it as this. Okay, this is a question for you because HTML5 validation is on it. I need to remove it from here. What should I do in Symfony? Default forms. Yeah, so I will go to the form. Yeah, something like this. So the form is employee is this one. It has the form, and this is the form widget. Here I need to specify, I think it's object attribute, right? Colon this, and then it should have another one, no validate right? Hopefully this will work if brackets and all, everything is fine. So if I refresh it now and Lukman, so it has added Lukman without a manager, right? And if I add Shoaib, so the manager can be Lukman now, and save, right? If I go to the table, browse, sorry, not this table, employee table. So you can see two employees, Azmat and Lukman, they have no managers, but for Shoaib there is a manager. Okay, so this way you can know which employee is the manager of other, right? This 2 means Lukman is the manager of Shoaib. And with DQL you can create all these queries, self-joining queries as well. I will leave it to you because we have a lot to study, but you have now known how to create self-referencing entities also in Doctrine. Is this clear? Okay, let me recall some entity where we had added maybe categories. If I check the database which had a lot of categories, category, no, we don't have any entries here. And citizen,
Books.
which of us our tables had some values we had generated. I just am not teacher.
Yes.
Okay, these are the values for teacher, 25 and them. So if I go to the teacher I think we had this slash teacher slash all, if you remember, something like that. Show all.
Yes.
Let me go to the teacher controller. Controllers is teacher controller, and then we have create and create class, delete, update,
Show also.
slash new, show all. Yes, good. Teacher slash show all, show all. Okay, so these are various entries for teachers,
Yes.
but we need to paginate the results. Okay, because these are a lot of records, and we have specified the IDs also with it. So this is not just one page, this is all the teachers actually. So we need to paginate this data, right?
Yes.
So in Symfony, in pagination, what we can do is, this is the show all method, right?
Yes.
But let me quickly copy it, or maybe for now this is okay. We want to paginate the data, this one. Let us style it somehow so that, okay. So for pagination, let me Google it, PagerFanta, pagination. So this library PagerFanta has a very good support for Doctrine also. So what we can do is, we will require this into our application, and it has support for the Doctrine ORM also. So we will do composer require ddiff composer require, and let me just commit all the code we have so far. Git add, git commit -m,
Self-referencing table.
work after or up to self-referencing tables. Okay, so we will run the composer command for ddiff composer require babdev slash, very interesting name, PagerFanta -bundle. Okay, and also we need to require another one, which is PagerFanta / Doctrine. The second one basically gives support for Doctrine ORM dash adapter, right? So these are two things: babdev PagerFanta bundle, and then the PagerFanta Doctrine ORM adapter, right? So it will do two things for us. Right, now I will go to the controller method first, this one. Actually it was using find all for that from the teacher repository. So let us go to the teacher repository first and create a method there. Teacher repository, this one. Okay, so I will create a new method here, public function find all with pagination support, and you can call it anything, right? So this method will basically take charge of the data you have. Okay, so return new PagerFanta new array adapter new Doctrine interview adapter PagerFanta adapter. Is query adapter this is PagerFanta Doctrine ORM query adapter, and it should be passed the query object, whatever the query is. Now we will create the query builder. So this dot create query builder, and because we are in the teacher, so by default it will be teacher, and if we return it query equals this, the second the method is get query, right, and then get result, but we will leave the result to PagerFanta. We won't, previously we had used get result, if you remember, right,
Yes, sir.
but we won't do it. PagerFanta will basically take charge of the result for us.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we needed. Now we will reference the find all with pagination support in show all. So if I go to the controller for the teacher controller, and it's find all show all method for show all, this should be now find with pagination support, right?
Yes.
That's it. And here we need to specify some proper, because now this is going to be it has now the support for pagination from PagerFanta, so we need to specify some now the teachers is an object of set, so you can see we can make these settings values set max per page. So on the page, how many records of teacher should be there? So for example, max per page are 4, so now it will show 4 records on the page.
Yes.
And similarly we can specify what the current page should be. So teacher current teachers current set current page. So for example, I am on the first page, by default it should be 1. We will change it in a while. Now if I refresh the page, if everything is fine, where was it? First step, show all. So 3, 4 and 5 records are being 4, sorry, this is,
Yes.
we should have some styling so that we know everything is working. So if I go to the teacher controller and show all, here we need to have some maybe HR. So now each row is a record,
Yes.
right? That's fine for now. Okay. So we are now showing 4 records, right? And we are on the first page. If I change the page to second, so what do you expect?
The next 4 records.
The next 4 records basically. So if I go to the controller again, where is the controller? Okay, so if I make it the second, okay,
Yes,
and refresh the page, now it's the next 4, 7, 8, 9, 10,
yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
But as you have learned it from your custom PHP course, we should not do it like this in
Yes.
code. So where the variable should come from?
Yes,
The page parameter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in order to access the page parameter, you can do it in 2 ways now in Symfony 7, but for now we will pass the request object to this method also, the request, right? So for example, we need to make it into a variable value, so it should be request get query, it's a query parameter, and then get and the value of the, and it should be page, for example. And you can even specify the second parameter as default. Okay, so if the page is not there, 1 will be taken,
Yes, sir.
but if this page parameter is present,
Yes, sir.
then it will be the value of the current page, right? So for example, if I change show all question mark page equals 3, for example, so now you can see it is changing according to the
Page parameter.
parameter in the variable, right?
Yes, sir.
So if I remove the page parameter altogether, so what should be now the default value? The first one,
4 only, yes, sir.
right? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. So these were the 2 settings we needed to make in the controller action, just these 2. That's fine for now. Now we need to go to the show all, so that we can have next and previous links.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, so I'll go to show all. Here, so outside, or maybe at the top, we show some other variables also. So for example, I want to display page and the page number. So we already have the teachers available now, right? And we are looping through it here.
Yes, sir.
So the teachers dot current page, teachers dot current page is capital, of the total pages. So this is teachers dot NB pages. This is all in the documentation also. Okay, so one of this, it will show us page this of this,
Yes.
right? So if you refresh the page now, this one, this page 1 of 15, it has calculated everything for you. So if I change it to maybe question mark page is equal to 4, for example, or 5, so it's page 5 of 15, and even it can show you all the records. So here of out of all the, and here we need to specify another, and that is teachers.nb results, teachers.nb results, like this, out of all the records. So you can now know out of all the 57 records. So we have 57 records, teacher records, and it is showing us this is the page 5 of total 15 pages, out of the 57 records. Clear? Now we need to have the next and previous links so that all this becomes automatic. So as you learned it from, when should we have the links? If there are other records, for example, if there is just one record, there should be no link.
Yes, sir.
So everything has to be enclosed in a variable as well. So at the bottom of these records here, we need to have some if statements. If, and that if is going to be teachers dot have to paginate. It means if we need to paginate through the records, only then show the links. And we'll close the and for in if, and this should be if. Clear? So all the links should be inside this.
Condition.
Yes. Okay. Now all these links will be only if there is some pagination related stuff. Now first we need to create the previous link and then the,
Yes, sir. Next one.
so let me quickly create a for the link, and each ref equals, I will give it in a while, but the link should be previous, right? And this one should be next. Now we need to enclose these two in if statements also. So if teachers has previous page. Okay, so if teachers variable has a previous page, only then show this one,
Previous video.
right?
Yes.
And similarly has the next page, we will just quickly copy this. So if it has the next page, then sorry, this should be next. So if it has the next page, has next page, then and if. Like this. So this link is for the previous, and this one is for the next. Now we need to construct the links also, and you might remember it from the path. Do you remember the path variable method? So it should be path inside the curly braces. So path, and the path should be for show all, and that is show underscore all, right? So the path is this, and then we need to specify this path is this. Okay, if you don't specify the if you pass extra, for example, if I go to the, where are we setting this path? In the teachers controller, if you remember. So this show all is here, and this is the
Yes, sir.
name of the route, right? So we will actually use this
Yes, sir.
teacher underscore show underscore all, but there is no other parameter here.
Yes, sir.
So if there is no parameter with the route, it means that will appear as query parameter automatically. Okay, so if I come to the show all again in the teacher, so it should be path, this, the name of the route, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we should have the second, it is an object of this type, and it will be page, for example, page. So because the initial, the actual route does not have this page parameter, so it will become
It's a query.
a query parameter by default. So this should be, and the value should be the teachers object has get previous page, get teachers dot get previous page, right? So this should be page,
Yes.
the path should be then page is equal to whatever the previous page is. And similarly, if I quickly copy this and paste it inside this one also, and this will be get next page. Get next page. All right. So hopefully, if everything is fine, and if I refresh the page, we will have links for next and previous links. So if I click on next, you can see the parameter in the URL is changing, and if I previous, so probably it's working fine now. And if I go to the first page, now we don't have previous link. So we're just setting up a few variables and then displaying them in the twig. We are now able to have pagination, and you can go to the documentation of pagination, PagerFanta, so you can yourself study a lot of stuff and use it to your advantage, right? These are all the methods we will checking. Okay. So we are done with pagination, and maybe if you you can have pagination set up in all your entities in even the enterprise grade Symfony applications using this technique. All right, so we have achieved a lot of stuff today. We will continue on towards other stuff as well. So we are done with pagination. We are done with all the relationship types, right? Now there is one more interesting topic, and after that we will say goodbye to this one, this lecture, right? Okay, so you can, if we go to, maybe let me create quickly a new entity to demonstrate something. So ddef php bin console make entity, and I will call it maybe this is going to be a table for research papers, So let us create ddef php bin console make entity, and we'll call it papers or research papers or whatever you can call it. Okay, so then entity name is papers, and we need to have the paper title, research paper title, right? So name is property name should be title, its name, and then we need another title also. We will call it slug for now. Okay, I will show you what slug is. So slug, and it should be string also, and it should also be not nullable, right? And another property is created at. So what does this mean? This record, this will save the time, the date, whatever in the table. So the make bundle already guesses it to be date time immutable, so we'll leave it as this, and it also should not be nullable. And another property should be updated at. So for example, if somebody edits this record, updates this record, it will save it there, and it also should be date time immutable, right? So we have 4 fields now. Title of the research article slug, then created date, updated date, right? That's it. For now, this is what we needed. No. Okay, the entity has been created. Now we need to make migration. Ddiv php. Rather, we should just copy this. I always forget copying it. So ddiv this, and then we need to copy the migrate also. And this will create the database table for research paper. If I go to the database and db papers, sorry, we have named it papers, but title slug, created date and updated date, and these are the date time. Now if we save, normally what we do is we don't specify when was it created in the form. Okay, so I can quickly create a form. So ddiv php bin / console make CRUD. Class name should be papers, and papers controller, do you want to know, and that's it. So if I go to papers / new now, and again I'm sorry, we have, it's not a problem, but still we have deviated from the name, so it should be papers now. I had intended it to be paper, but now it is papers, so no problem. So you can see the form is there, title slug, created, add and delete, updated add. Okay, but we are not going to do this ourselves. I don't want to set them up. Even if I have to programmatically update an entity, I don't want to set the time there myself. Okay, there should be some automatic mechanism so that if a new paper is created, it automatically saves the new date, and similarly if it is updated, it should and what is slug? Slug is for search engine optimization, or better name. So for example, if I go to paper /1, so it will show me a single paper, right? But if I go to, for example, this research paper is about the role of CS in students' life. So what should be the slug? The dash role dash of dash CS dash in dash student. So it should do something like this for us, and it will be saved in the database. Now then, if I go to paper / the role of all this search engine friendly URL, this one, so it will show us that record. Got it? So the role of this slug property is to have something like this in the database, so that we can query on it. Got it? So what we need to do is, we need to have first, I can just save it now and it will be saved in the database, but I need to make it automatic, even the slug as well as these two. So what should first I do? I should delete these 3 from the form. Okay, so if I go to the form which it has created for us, it should be in the form folder. Okay, this is template, sorry.
Paper type.
So it's a papers type, right? So we need to remove these 2, or rather the 3 fields altogether. These 3 fields I need to remove. I will leave it just as title. Okay, save. So if we refresh the page, it will now just be title. But again, if whatever is the title, I save it, it should add in the database table. If I go to the it should just add it should add the title. Slug should be automatically added with the dashes, and then the created at and updated at also should be there. So for this there is a very cool stuff we need to do, and that is we need to use something called Doctrine extensions bundle from Stoff. So if you Google it, Doctrine extensions bundle, and this is Stoff Doctrine extensions bundle. You can have this documentation, but from here we need two things, and I will run this command in the prompt to download it. So ddev composer require Stoff / Doctrine dash extensions dash bundle. Okay, and this is basically a third party recipe, that's why it is asking you. It's not Symfony course recipe, but we will yes it. Okay, or y is fine. Okay, now it has downloaded it for us. We just need to make one small change in its setting file. If I go to the config folder, packages, and it is Stoff Doctrine extensions. Here we need to add two things: ORM, because this is related with the ORM. Then it has default key, and then it should be default, and then two things: time stampable true, and sluggable true. These are two things we needed. Okay, is this clear? So we just need to add these keys to the Stoff _ Doctrine _ extensions key in the Stoff Doctrine extensions.yml file, right? Now let me go to just small changes we need to make to which entity? The papers entity. So if I go to the entity papers.php, and which one is the slug field? The slug itself, this one. Okay, this is the slug field. So above it we will add an entry, one more attribute actually, and it is hash this, and now it is slug, and this is GEDMO mapping annotation. Okay, so slug, and it will be passed this fields. This is actually an array. You can base your slug on even more than one field, that's why it is an array, and in it we will specify how to base the slug. I mean on which field it should be based. So on which field this slug field should be based? Automatically the saving of it, the title field. So whatever is the title field, it will be converted into a slug for us. Got it? Similarly, for the timestamp field, these are two. Here we need to specify two attributes also, and those are timestampable. This is again GEDMO mapping annotation, right? Timestampable, and when should it create this field for us automatically? Once the entity is created. And behind the scenes this is working on the hook system or the events, if you remember from our custom application we had created. So on which this is created field, so on create. So when the entity is created, this field should be automatically populated for us. So timestampable on create, and similarly if I copy it and use it for this updated it. So what change should we make? This should be update. That's it. Got it? Okay, I think that's all we needed. Now if I go to the form, if everything has been set up properly, this is the form. So if I run research on malaria in Pakistan, for example, that's the title, and save it. So it has added the record, and you can say this see this Slugs search on malaria in, rather than doing it myself, this extension, Doctrine extension, has done it for us, and even the created and updated date have been populated for us. Clear? And even if I edit it, for example, notice this will be now updated for us also. For example, if I just add one more space or whatever and update it, so now the dates are different. So all of this is now automatically done for us. Is this clear? So what we did, we downloaded a stuff Doctrine package, this one, and then in the stuff Doctrine extensions, here we added these values, and in the entity where we wanted all this to happen, where is the entity field? This one. Here we added the slug field for the one, so the slug value, and then the timestampable for create and update. So just a few steps, but you have achieved a lot. Okay, now something very interesting. If I go to teacher / one record, paper / one, so it shows me a single record. CRUD has created this for us, right? It shows us first record, right? Let me add a few more also. Create new. The effect of COVID in Pakistan, whatever, and save. So this is the second one. And what is difference between Drupal and WordPress? This is the third one, for example, right? So notice everything is done for us automatically. Even if I submit this one, what do you expect? What should be here in the slug? This is my question to you. If I submit this again and save it, the title, because this is a new title, so titles can be the same, so it will generate a slug for us, right? But the slug is not going to be unique. One thing I forgot, we should specify unique in the columns here. So the slug is unique, okay? But even if it is not unique, if it is unique, let me try, save. So you can say it has added -1 with it. So even if the titles are the same, but the slug will be different because this package which we have downloaded does this for us, okay? If these are the two are the same, so in the URL they will be the same here as well, right? Then it will not. For example, if I paste it here, so paper / this, so it won't understand which one of these two is. So it should be unique as well. The slug should be unique. But now if I enter it, and it gives us a red error. Why? Because it was checking based on the ID. By default it is on ID. So what we can do is, if we go to the controller, this is teacher's controller, yes, and this is the show one this digit, okay? So if we pass the ID, it shows it. Find all, find by ID,
paper controller.
sorry, papers controller. So this is the ID, right?
Yes.
Let me copy this one quickly. And we will change it to papers show underscore slug, right? And this will be now a slug, like this. The ID should be slug, and we will call it slug show. Okay, prior to Symfony 6, Symfony 7, mostly this parameter, it now knows what it is. If you pass the entity object and paper, okay, and if I dump it, it will show me the entity, not the ID. Okay, I think I demonstrated this last time also. So this parameter in the controller method, if it is preceded by the entity class, so this variable is actually whole object.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
this is the object. If I deviate now, for example,
Yes, sir.
paper, and this is the ID, for example, just ID, so it will basically be the whole object, not the ID.
Yes, sir.
So now the path should be slash slug, right?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, yes. So slash something means I should access it through not by ID but the slug
Yes, sir.
column in the database table.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we need to do is we need to specify
Semicolon, sir.
where. Yes. Okay. So right now it is not doing it. Slash slug means this is throwing this error.
Yes, sir.
So what we need to specify, and this again is very cool from, and by the way, for this, just this functionality, papers paper, okay,
Yes, sir.
there used to be this bundle for param converter Symfony, this param converter bundle,
Yes.
but now in Symfony 7 it is automatically done for us, right? But since we are now passing the slug, so we need to have one more setting, and that setting is and this again is an attribute, and the attribute is called map entity, this one, okay. And the map entity should have a mapping and the mapping should be an array, and the array is slug should be slug. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we need to pass with the entity name, and in the method this thing map entity mapping is slug. What does this mean? The URL slug, this one,
Yes, sir.
the first one shows this, and what should it correspond to in the table,
Yes, sir.
or the entity is slug.
Yes.
It means if whatever is passed to it, it should search it by the slug,
Yes, by slug.
not ID.
Yes.
By default it takes ID, like we were doing it. So if I remove it, it will still search for ID,
Yes, sir.
but now with this setting it will search it by slug,
Slug.
and the maybe if it I will comment it out for now, the ID one. Okay, so now if I refresh the page, and it has searched it via this slug. Got it? So this is more the search engine, and if I remove it, friendly URL now. Got it? If I dash 1 with it, so this will be that second record which we added. This is the second record.
Yes, sir.
Now it is being searched for.
Right.
So we have achieved a slug for a system for our entities also,
Yes, sir.
using the timestampable
Yes, sir.
and using the map entity in here.
Yes, sir.
So I think it was a lot to study, and we covered a lot of things. If I have forgotten some stuff, we will cover it in the next lecture. See you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.